All right, welcome to the first post-game show on Locked On Sunbelt. We're here with Josh Dagno. You're going to see him again. You're going to get a lot of fill at Josh Dagno because he is on Wednesday's Locked On Sunbelt recap with about the Ragin Cajuns. But tonight, the Ragin Cajuns baseball team takes down number 1 ranked LSU. I'm going to tell you, Josh, I didn't see that coming. It kind of looked like the Cajuns looked like LSU, and LSU looked like the Cajuns. I did not see that coming. I know the final score was 8-5, but I mean the Cajuns took control early. I think they were up 4-2 after 3, and then never looked back again. LSU hits a 2-run home run in the 9th to make it a 3-run game, but that was as close as they got.
I mean, let's call it what it was. It was domination. And at the end of the day, I know it's a midweek game. I know all of those old cliches, but number 1 fell. And they fell against a guy who made his first career start in Carson Fluno. And it fell against a guy, David Christie, who has been up and down, has a career ERA of about 4. So I don't want to hear any of the people from the other side of the basin talking about how we pitched the best we had and this was a Super Bowl. And let's just talk about the significance of number 1 losing. The Cajuns deserve all the credit for beating the best team in the land. And let's not act like this is just a regular number 1. This has been a very, very talented team. One of the best lineups we've seen in a very long time. And I don't care if your name is Louisiana State Agriculture and Mechanical College in Baton Rouge. I don't care if you're NC State. I don't care who you are. If you're the number 1 team in the country and you lose on a midweek, it's a big story. So congrats to the Cajuns. Congrats to all the Cajun faithful that went out there and made a bunch of noise, very loud on the broadcast. And, hey, it's a great night to be a Cajuns baseball fan.
All right, talk to us about Christie. He goes 6 innings, gives up a total of 1 run. One of those, I guess, coming in on the 9th inning on the 2-run home run by Trey Morgan. He does walk 4, only strikes out 1, gives up 3 hits, so he's pitching to contact. Where did that performance come from?
I would be lying if I tried to make up some reason that happened. Again, David Christie has been one of those guys that has the talent. We watched him pitch here at STM. He has been in the public eye for many years here through high school into being a Ragin Cajun. I don't know, Dave. I mean, the great thing about David Christie tonight was that he induced, 12 fly ball outs. You keep that lineup in the ballpark, you have a good chance to win. And David Christie went out there and executed pitches. Now, later into that outing, I think after he'd gone about 5 innings, he started missing up, and you saw Trey Morgan hit the home run, like you said. But, Trey Morgan hit it off of Rawls, but the home run, the hard hit balls before that, yeah. Right. You could see it. He started to he was faltering at executing pitches. You saw Seth come out there, Seth Thibodeau, the pitching coach, and kind of give him the what for. You could see that there was a little bit of aggravation there, but I mean, you got to be kidding me. Lafayette's very own David Christie goes out and has the performance of a lifetime against one of the better offensive clubs we've seen around here in a very long time. I don't think that's hyperbole. I mean, nationally, you look up and down that lineup, and you've got
no, it's not
350, 380, 500 in Dylan Cruz, who, look, I don't know if this was part of the game plan, but he walks 3 times. Credit to Cooper Rawls for striking him out right there in the 8th. That was about as nice of a pitch as you can ask for from a Cajun pitcher. Froze Dylan Cruz, literally the best hitter in the country right now.
Right.
And I know we're talking David Christie, but I just thought that there were some crucial moments in the game, and Dylan Cruz is always the linchpin of that offense. There's always somebody like a Dylan Cruz or a Tommy Tanks or Balasso or all these guys. 1 through 9, 1 through 12, they can hit. Thompson had a decent day at the plate, but I thought it was very important for David Christie to get them to hit the ball in the air. Maybe some overswinging from LSU. Obviously, they started a guy in Coleman who hadn't made a start and was coming off a Tommy John. I thought Money had a very tough outing. It looked like he was frustrated a lot on the mound for LSU. It was an interesting game. It was an interesting game, but it was total domination by the Cajuns offensively and on the pitching mound.
It wasn't Blake Money like their Friday night starter? Was it last year or 2 years ago? You know what his brother's name is? That's the best part of Blake Money.
Yeah,
you know what his brother's name is?
No, Dirty.
Cash.
That's just not creative.
Is that great?
Come on, that's too easy.
That's awesome. But that's awesome. His brother's name is Cash Money.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
No, that is good.
But I
That's
mean,
good.
no, he was a big time starter. I guess he's coming back from injury. But you mentioned some big spots. Obviously, Hood's home run was huge. But look at the bottom. I'm looking at the bottom of the lineup. The Raging Cajuns had 14 base hits. Higgs had 3. Vayon had 3. Willis had 2. They had 8 of the 14 base hits. The bottom third of the Raging Cajuns lineup. And then you look at that scoreboard and you see LSU putting up single numbers early on, and the Raging Cajuns, as Robe used to say, put up crooked numbers, or everybody likes to say that, right? So LSU's putting up single runs in the first, second, and third. The Cajuns put up 2 in the second, third, and fourth. And, you know, they added 2 more in the seventh, and that was more than enough to come away with a huge win. It'll be interesting to see where they started out as their RPI was 77 heading into the game. It'll be interesting to see what they come out of it basically tomorrow.
64 is what it dropped to.
Oh,
so
already?
I checked it right before we went on. Yeah. And I want to shout out a couple individuals. Clay Wargo stepped in for Julian Brock, and I thought was defensively phenomenal. He had 3 sacrifice bunts.
Drives in a run.
And drove in a run. Look, you can't say enough about that guy. He sat behind some catchers at Coastal Carolina, transferred here for a chance to play behind Julian. I thought that he was fantastic handling the pitching staff tonight. Max Marshak, who's been up and down, had a big hit tonight. You mentioned Hoodie. That part didn't surprise me at all. We call Hoodie Heath Hood old reliable. Every time it seems like we need a big hit, he's right in the middle of that. Look at Julian Brock. What a warrior. Guy has a stomach problem. He's on IVs during the weekend. He comes in and gets 2 big hits. CJ Willis, a former Louisiana State player, comes in here and gets a couple of big hits. CJ, you almost felt like CJ was going to have a big night. It just felt like it was a good spot for him. And like you mentioned, bottom of the lineup, really produced, turned it over for the guys in front of him. There's so many small things that happened throughout the course of that game that really, the double play in the 7th, I thought was big because at the time I thought we weren't going to see Cruz and Tanks come back up, but it still turned over because Trey Morgan ended up hitting the home run to get a little bit closer than what the game actually was. I mean, let's be honest. When Higgs hit the home run in I think it was the 7th to make it 8-3, that was the twisting of the knife. That was it. It felt like LSU. Right. Look, we knew that we were going to have to get as many runs as we needed. We could possibly get in that game in order to win because, again, their lineup it never stops. So you felt good going into that. I think that they would not have ridden Christie longer than the 7th if Higgs doesn't hit the home run. I think it extended his outing. And it was an interesting decision to see Cooper Rawls come in there and finish it, considering that he's been named the Friday night starter against JMU. So really interesting stuff. Higgs has got to be in the lineup. I think Deggs is finally coming to that realization that Higgs gets in there, gets 3 hits. Will Vayon, a 210 hitter, goes in and gets 3 hits, a double, a big double, and a big moment. Man, I think there were several moments there where you needed somebody to step up, and the Cajuns were able to do it. The Tigers were not.
All right, so let's back it up a little bit because I missed what could have been a key situation, and it turned out not to be because I was at the Cajun softball. They came away with a 7-0 victory over Southeastern. Maya Davis hits her first home run of the season, I guess of her career. A 2-run shot. 2 outs later, the Cajuns pour on 5 runs. But so early on in the ballgame, I missed it. The Cajuns didn't do the double squeeze, right? They did sacrifice a run home. And then did they try the double squeeze? Did they try the suicide squeeze and it didn't work? I missed that play. What happened?
I don't believe so. And I'll be totally honest, the first couple of innings I did not see because I was coaching my U7 girls to a league championship. Shout out to the Cajun Racers. Great playing. Yeah, fired up about that.
Right.
So I missed the first 2. Yeah, I missed first 2 innings of the game, but first 2.5. But look.
Yeah, because it says here Vayon advanced to third, Higgs out at home, unassisted, caught stealing. So somewhere along the way,
that sounds
feels
like
they tried the double squeeze
that sounds like
and they missed.
It happens. Look, it's a high risk. It's a high risk, high reward type situation.
They usually execute it unless it was a pitch out, unless they knew it was coming.
I know you love the double squeeze.
Executed because it. I love the double squeeze.
I know it.
I love it because you can't really, the only way to defend it is if you miss the pitch. So, all right, it is Josh Dagno from Ragin Review on a Locked On Sun Belt post-game show. The Cajuns go down to the Cajuns actually take down the LSU Tigers 8-5. All right, so what does this do for their? Does it matter the confidence? Can you ride this against JMU? Because let's be honest, this should be a series that they should win. It's on the road. It won't be easy. It's the first time there. I think they're playing. I think Harrisonburg is in a valley compared to into the mountains, but it's surrounded. So you got to take 2 out of 3 from JMU to keep this momentum going. Otherwise, that victory over LSU may be all you be able to hang your head on for the season.
The thing about this team, and a lot of the core has returned from last year, and what I've learned over the time that Deggs has been here is that they always play up. Always. You look at the performance against A&M, you look at the 2 performances against TCU in the regionals last year. Every number you look at, we were injured. Everything says we don't compete in those games. And we took A&M, an Omaha team, to the brink. If we had one more pitcher or maybe one more healthy pitcher, we win that game in College Station. So we always seem to play up under Deggs. I don't necessarily believe that these guys that think that this is the pinnacle of their season. I will tell you that I don't think many of us saw this coming, especially against this particular LSU team. But JMU is an interesting thing. They're not a familiar foe. This is not a familiar road trip, and Deggs has said in the past that he prefers to play teams that he's familiar with. So it's kind of like Marshall, and Marshall's a bad comp because we swept that team, but JMU is not that bad. They've got some decent wins on the schedule. I don't know. Does this team have the maturity to go on the road after a big win and get the wins that, you got to go 2 for 3. You can never expect a sweep. I don't care how good you are or how bad they are. You never expect that.
You're right.
I think we might learn a little bit about our team, just the maturity of it. I know for a fact that we've been a little bit more banged up than people may realize. So it depends. Debo's going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks. Brock hopefully has returned to strength by the weekend. I don't know, Dave. I think it's an interesting situation, even though people look at JMU and say, hey, that's probably a series you need to win. I think there's a lot to learn about our particular team on this road trip. It's not an easy road trip. It's more like your App State type road trip. Fly into Norfolk, you take the what is it, an hour and a half trek over to Harrisonburg. It's not easy. So we'll see. And the other thing you have to think about is that we're changing the rotation. You're going to see Rawls on Friday. You're going to see Nezu on Saturday, and you're going to see McGehee on Sunday. So we're flipping the rotation, and you're going to see some new starters. Little bit of some transition time here for the Cajuns pitching staff. All I know is that David Christie, I think, proved himself this week. We probably won't. Think about it. I think he threw almost 90 pitches. We probably won't see him this weekend, where I know Deggs likes to use him in a swing arm type situation, especially if somebody can't get out of the third. But you still have, and the other thing is that our other swing arm is Cooper Rawls, and he's starting on Friday. So who's going to step into that role if we need a 3 or 4 inning outing to eat up innings? That's going to be interesting to me. I think Moody is probably a prime candidate for that. JT Etheridge is also another candidate for that. I think guys are going to be, given an opportunity to maybe settle down and define a role. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what the pitching staff does. Newcomers that haven't necessarily had a big role, what can they do when they get the opportunity this weekend against JMU? Because they will.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't look for Christie to come back any sooner than Sunday. He's not right. I mean, that's just not going to happen. That is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's only 4 days rest for guys who usually get 6. But also, David Christie's now could be there if one of these weekend guys falters, right? Like you said, he took down, an unprecedented kind of offensive team. They weren't resting guys, right? They weren't resting. Dylan Cruz wasn't taking a night off. Trey Morgan wasn't taking a night off. Cabelloso wasn't taking a night off. So they were, Milazzo can hit at the bottom of the order, so they weren't taking a night off. I would presume David Christie's confidence is sky high, and let's see if he can do it, when, it matters against the Sun Belt teams. Because we had a call the other day, what matters, the Southern Miss series and the Coastal Carolina series or the LSU ball game? Well, to win 2 out of 3 against those teams, both those series are on the road, by the way, those would be huge. And so, hopefully we'll see if the Cajuns can use this momentum take 2 out of 3 from JMU and, set yourself up to where, if you win a couple of ball games in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, you can find yourself in the NCAA tournament and not in a position where they have to win the whole thing just to get in.
We're on the back end of the first half of the season. This game can serve as one of two things, in my view. It can be a jump-off point where you finally win a game against a team. On the show, on Ragin Review, what we talk about is if you look at the schedule, who have we beaten that makes you raise your eyebrows and say, oh, yeah, we might be pretty good.
Right.
There weren't many of those, if any.
No.
This serves as
Well,
one
all
of
of a
those
sudden,
type teams.
Absolutely. Now, and certainly not to compare it, although now the wins look better than they did before, right? I mean,
Sure.
you give up 4 runs to South Alabama in the 8th inning, you're looking at like, are we going to lose this series? And then they come back and win it. Now, all of a sudden, South Alabama has won 3 series in a row. So, again, that's not LSU. I understand it. But,
It's
when you blow a ball game like that on a Friday night, you could very easily lose that series. And the Cajuns did a good job of pretty much hammering South Alabama after that fact.
Right. And when you play a doubleheader, you never know what can happen. Hardest thing to do in baseball is win 2 games in a single day. So I think that you can go one of 2 ways. I think that you use this as confidence, and Deg says, look at what you can do. You did this without your catcher at full strength, who is, in my view, borderline All-American when he puts it all together, and you have Debo on the shelf right now. So you guys can do this. We have the talent to beat the best in America. Let's go do that in conference. Right. Or you can be full of yourself and say, hey, we beat LSU. We can pack it in for the season. We got something to hang our hat on, kind of like you mentioned. I don't think that this team has that type of makeup. I think that, and of course I'll think this, I'm a fan, but I really believe that, and I know some of the guys on the team, they're not caught up in the glam. We've had teams in the past that get caught up in the glamour of playing at Alex Box, and they step up and have their best game for grandma and grandpa who came in from Denham Springs to see them play. That's happened.
Right.
I don't think that this is that, Dave. And I got to be honest with you, I did not expect to go in there and win, but I certainly did not expect to go in there and play the way we did offensively. I mean, we just slapped it around, 13 hits throughout the course of the game. And when we had opportunities for the most part, we cashed them in. Now, we had opportunities in almost every inning in that game, maybe save for the 6th inning.
Well, yeah. Again, according to the play-by-play, it kind of looks like they ran themselves out of an inning.
Well, we
and
do
also,
that, so don't get me started.
That happens when you're that kind of an aggressive running team. That's going to happen. If you're sitting there waiting for the home run, once in a while you're going to strike out. No, I would say heading into this ball game, oddly enough, on the show today, Sports Chat on 103.3 The GOAT, the flagship of the Ragin Cajuns, we set the over/under at 6. Like they could score, like the Cajuns could score 7 runs and win the ball game. You couldn't give up more than 6. They gave up 5. So we sort of hit that. My producer, Lyndon Burton, said, well, somewhere between 5 and 6. I go, there's nothing between 5 and 6.
You got to tell him
5 and 6. How many runs are you giving up?
Tell him you only get the hook in betting, man. That's not in real life.
Right. There's nothing in between 5 and 6. So the Cajuns did what they did. I don't think anyone would have been surprised if this game was totally reversed. And we could have come on here and said, hey, the Cajuns gave up 8 runs to this unprecedented offense, and what a great job. The Bats didn't get as clutch hits as they would have liked, but still showed some promise. And yet it's the opposite. It's the Cajuns offense that scores 8 runs. And, the LSU offense was held to 3 runs for the first 8 innings, 2 in the 9th. Just like you said, just great job by David Christie.
And then the other thing is that the Cajuns come in off of a weekend where we gave away it was almost 40 free passes throughout. Well, if you come off of Southeastern and you roll into the series that we just played against Troy, almost 40 free passes with regard to, walks, hit by pitch, etc. We didn't give them anything tonight, and it shows you how good this team can be when they don't beat themselves. And there's been a large part of the season where we haven't done that. We just haven't done it against a team that was nearly as good as LSU. So you got to feel good about the fact that you went out and played a complete ball game. And for the first time this year, I think you did play a complete ball game for the most part. That is encouraging. And you did it on the road, which our splits are not great. We play great at home, not necessarily great on the road. We're about a 500 ball club. But I'm proud of the guys for going in, and I don't care who you beat. I don't care what their name is. You beat a very good team on the road after a tough weekend, And you did it with the offense, and that's the way we're built to win games. So this was a complete Matt Deggs win. You got to feel good about that if you're a Cajun fan.
Right. All right. To wrap things up, did I see this statistic right? We know how well they, steal bases. They're 4th in the nation in overall steals, 5th in the nation in steals per game. They have 3 games with 10 or more stolen bases.
Yeah. It's
did I see that right?
Yeah.
That's high school.
I know it.
Is he running up the score? What's he doing stealing 10 bases?
When you play Grambling and you play, I don't know.
Okay.
Don't get me started on the schedule. We've stacked some steals against some bad teams, but look, he's going to take chances. He's going to get thrown out on a double steal at third with Vayon running for absolutely no reason, and it's going to make us all upset because that's just not the kind of baseball we're used to. It's been a long grieving process. I'm starting to get over it. It still drives me nuts, but it's how we play ball now. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Tonight, there's really nothing to be upset about. I cannot say more.
No, nothing to be upset about.
I cannot say more about Wargo and Christie and just everybody that stepped up tonight. Degg said in the post game that we're going to have to be uncommon tonight. And what he really meant was we're going to have to not play the way we've been playing in order to win this game. Right. And we did it. Credit to the guys. We did it. So shout out to them.
Exactly. All right. So hopefully we'll do more of these as the season rolls on. Josh Dagno from Ragin Review hopping on a Locked On Sunbelt podcast post-game show. The Louisiana Ragin Cajuns defeat the LSU Tigers 8-5. Thanks, Josh. We'll do it again soon.
All right, Dave. It was fun. Go Cajuns.